In this episode, we're taking you inside the IFPA Retail Conference in Frisco, Texas, where we caught up with some of the fresh produce industry's most forward-thinking leaders. You'll hear perspectives from both sides of the supply chain on collaboration, innovation, and how to stay aligned in a rapidly shifting market. Today's episode is made possible by the support of our sponsors, Misionero, Bourne Farms, IFPA, Sunfed, and the International Fresh Produce Association. 5 companies helping shape the future of fresh produce. Let's get into it. We begin with Jan Branco of Sobeys, who joined us fresh off a strategy session with fellow retailers. As a Canadian voice on IFPA's Retail Council, he shares how collaboration across borders shapes the future of produce.
We are now being joined by our good friend and past guest, Mr. Jan Branco of Sobeys. How are you, sir?
Very good. How about yourself?
Great. Nice to have you. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
So aside from your day job at Sobeys, you also have another role here this week. Maybe you can share with us what that is.
I'm the retail chair of the council. Interesting fact, I'm the only Canadian retailer on the council. So I have the privilege to sit with like a number of different U.S. retailers. And where we have meaningful discussions.
It's to be pretty interesting, particularly from a competitive standpoint, because you sort of get rid of that.
Absolutely.
Right. That barrier, perhaps, that might be otherwise there when there is competition, right?
Absolutely.
So that has to be probably more beneficial even for you, correct?
Yeah. I'm a fish in a pond, basically, because I can have all sorts of discussions with them and they're not, obviously there's not that competition,
Sure.
right, happening. So, which
That's
is
awesome.
Which is great. Yes.
Obviously, we know IFPA as an organization brings people together, volunteer leadership throughout the year, and strategically placed adjacent to events with the retail conference leading up to it. So it sounds like you all had some meetings. So we're about halfway through the day now. You've heard some of the content in there. Obviously, it's important to get to these smaller, more intimate functions where you can literally have conversations with folks and drive action. I know this morning we were talking about tariffs, we're talking about innovation or data, anything throughout the morning that might have been particularly interesting to you?
So that's an interesting question because throughout the conversation, the panels, the presentation, what I find is that as an industry, we're really positioned to lead the charge with the consumer, right? Like it's once again, we're reminded of the importance of produce in our diet and in our health strategy as humans or consumers.
That makes sense, though. I mean, it's I don't know if it's easy to forget, but we all get tied up in our day-to-day execution of our tasks. But the overarching message overall, as far as, consumption, we've talked about food as medicine. We've talked about the concept of the cleanest burning fuel, Craig likes to say,
Right.
is fresh fruits and vegetables. So, we can't take our eye off that. And we need folks that are leading the charge on a daily basis for us. And IFPA definitely provides a lot of those efforts. So
I totally agree with you.
it's very positive to see the support. For that matter, there's a lot of shows throughout the year. This is trade show season, but to see the turnout that we've had here is very encouraging that folks, if for other organizations that are advocating for the industry have an event, clearly it's not to waste people's time. It's to actually educate and to drive commercial activity, which I think we're doing both. We have
Absolutely
some booths here. I think it's a relatively new thing at this event, but people really respond and they come from all over. Case in point, you came from Canada.
Absolutely. And to your point, it's for me, it's about connecting, right, with people, with old friends in industry, and it's learning about what's going on, what's the latest and the greatest, and really take the pulse, right, of where we're headed and what we're working on.
Is it cold still at home?
No, it's the weather is finally turning around,
really,
which is very nice.
So your weather's better than it was here this week.
Yes, actually, yes.
Well, Dallas in May is a little unpredictable. Yesterday, the storms here in Dallas were pretty rough. So
yeah,
we
almost
can get
golf,
almost at a golf tournament. Next time, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll come see you in Canada. We're swearing we're going to take a tour of everywhere we've been invited to. It might take the entire year, but so hopefully we'll make Canada part of that spot. But Jan, thanks for being with us. We appreciate everything you do, definitely from your leadership perspective here with IFPA. Hope to have you back in Texas soon. Look us up, and we hope to see you in Canada as well.
Well, thanks for having me, and you're certainly welcome to our beautiful country.
I got an invite.
Yes,
Thanks,
no,
sir.
absolutely.
Appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Next up is Joe Merenda from Misionero. With nearly 30 years in the industry, Joe unpacks how regional supply chains are evolving and how retailers and suppliers can drive innovation together.
Obviously, this is important for you to come out, important enough for you to be here. Tell us a little bit about what you've seen and heard and what you've experienced while you've been here.
I think the key to this show is really about hearing what IFPA is doing, what the retail community is doing, and try to form some alignment between what they're seeing and what we're seeing, and try and get those messages aligned so that we're all kind of heading in the right direction. Because right now, with all the questions around tariffs and all the questions around the consumer and recessions and everything else, everyone's got questions, and we don't really have like an industry answer. So I'm hoping that the format that they do here kind of leads to project-based work with other retailers and with other suppliers. So maybe we can get some alignment on a path to go forward. So, I mean, that's really the main goal of the show.
Probably easier to drive action from an event like this. I mean, we all love the large conferences. This is a very intimate setting, smaller group of people, clearly a lot of decision makers. So from an action-oriented standpoint, coming out of here with something to actually act upon is more probable.
Well, yeah,
So-
it's always better to get out of the echo chamber of talking to all the other guys in the industry and getting multiple retailers' perspective on what their main issues are.
Mhm.
So, we think we know what we're doing is right, but when you hear it from multiple voices, from multiple different angles, you get a much different perspective, and you go back and you can react to it.
Mhm.
And the intimate setting makes that possible. To make sure you got 5 minutes, you're talking to everybody. Here, you're sitting down at a table with someone the entire day. So you do get a little bit more, you get a deeper sense of where they're at.
Yeah. Or heck, you might be looking for somebody and don't ever see them at a larger show, which serves its purpose as well. I'm not
It's
detracting
possible
for
to
you.
miss somebody here.
Yeah, it's impossible to miss somebody here. So anything new and exciting going on in the Salinas Valley other than it being, peak season for y'all?
Yeah, it's we just got through transition, so dealing with all that move from the Yuma Valley up to the Salinas Valley.
And
But
do you do the stop midway in?
yep, we go mid-April. We take the plant down, we move it back up north.
Okay.
We finish the crops down there, move everything up north, and we just do it over a weekend. So it's mid-April is a crazy time for
How
us.
long have you been doing this?
Oh, I guess it's almost 30 years.
30 years.
Yeah. Been a long time.
Wow. That's a lot of migrating back and forth. It's got to be fun though.
No, I love our industry. Our industry is
Yeah.
great because it is constantly changing, which leads to constant opportunities. And like you said, at a show like this,
Mhm.
can you align where your opportunities are with where the retailer is looking for an opportunity and make something that works for everyone? So,
Any new products that you're working on that you could share with us?
we're working more right now on driving consumption. We're processed salads for the most part.
Mhm.
And the salads category has always been very growth oriented. And we've noticed over the last year that it's kind of flattening out.
Really?
Kits are doing well, but your standard mix are it's kind of flattening out a little bit. So we're looking for ways to improve messaging, get the consumer back to buying more healthy products. For us, it's really about driving consumption. We're working on a lot of new kits, and this is the time of year where you work on all your holiday kits and stuff that are seasonal. So we got a bunch of new kits coming out for the holidays that are great. So we're pretty excited about that.
You'll do retail and food service?
Yes,
Just
we do.
retail. Okay.
Yes.
So I asked because I noticed, it seems to me, at least at retail, that a lot larger units or family size pack.
Yep.
Is that a trend you see growing, or is that been pretty standard for a
I
while?
think the only limitation is price points.
Okay.
Unless you're a big box retailer or a low cost retailer where you can take the larger pack size, apply a lower margin to it, and still give that perceived value to the consumer. So the big box guys, they take big stuff and they mark it up a limited amount and they do a good job with it. The traditional retailer, I think, struggles as you get larger pack sizes because the consumer doesn't want to see a $7.99. You know, they kind of have the ceiling at $4.99 that goes, we really don't want to go past there. So you got to keep things sized to what that consumer is going to buy when they shop there once or twice a week. So
Keep within a sort of like a acceptable perception.
acceptable perceived value.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's interesting. We talked a little bit before we came on, but what would you want every retailer to know if it was just one thing about your company?
It's a big question. I think it's probably, I look at Misionero as being really a right-sized business in that we're large enough to deal with all the large retailers. We're also small and nimble enough to do custom cool stuff that, you know, if you look at the retail shelf, you'll see a lot of the same stuff because one big retailer takes something and then that's what they go sell to everyone. So we like to do custom one-off, two-off things for retailers. So I think in that perspective, that's probably the biggest differentiation between us and some of the bigger guys is that we're small enough to still do custom cool stuff.
And obviously it's important to your customers, or else you wouldn't be doing it.
No, that is for sure.
Yeah, that's cool.
No, they look to us for innovation. It's probably what sets us apart from everybody else is we're always constantly innovating, putting new cool stuff out in the marketplace. Some work, some don't, you know, but as long as you're driving that innovation, I think that's the most important thing to the routine.
You get a lot of feedback from retailers. In other words, do you feel like you're bouncing more ideas off of them, or are retailers actually coming to you, or is it sort of
we try to
50-50?
work in sync with them, but like I said, come to shows like this to kind of find out where things are at. We like to think that we're on the leading edge of taste profiles and what the consumer is looking for through our own research, but is that where the consumer's at? So we're trying to meet them in the middle, and the retailer is that middle point. So it's like, they don't know exactly, we don't know exactly. Sometimes the consumer doesn't know until you put it in front of them. So it's a cat and mouse game a little bit of figuring out who's leading what, but I think it's a good back and forth between us and the retailer.
A healthy mix?
Healthy mix.
Yes. What's your, I mean, obviously Salinas is all the way on the West Coast. A large concentration of the population is in the Northeast or the East. Obviously transportation is a huge challenge, right?
Huge challenge.
Not a lot of other greens and veg grown in the U.S. other than Texas and where we're at in Florida, but a large part obviously comes from the West Coast. So
Absolutely.
any trends you're seeing in transportation? I mean, it seems like it's softening up.
Well, yeah, it's I mean, compared to, 3-4 years ago where we were just literally bleeding cash, bringing stuff to the East Coast. We've opened up a facility in Baltimore. So that's what we've done to kind of combat that is we're shipping raw product across the country rather than finished goods, which is a lot of air, a lot of packaging, a lot of dead space. So we find that we can be more efficient shipping the raw material out there and processing and then delivering it to the customer because more and more customers want delivered programs now. That's just the nature of the beast. It's just get it here. I want 5 days a week. So we felt like it was the right thing to do. So we opened up a facility in Baltimore about 4 or 5 years ago. That's really helping to combat that because now we have a central location to bring everything and ship everything out from.
That makes sense. Is there any value added product that goes into that you don't grow into those items? Maybe like a kit, for example?
Yeah, I mean, we'll bring kit components in either from the West Coast or the Midwest where we can get the kit components and bring them in there and do the same thing. And just we're aggregating what we're doing, bringing other products in, even consolidating stuff for other producers that are doing complementary items, and we deliver those with our product just to fill up trucks. You got to fill the truck up or else it's very inefficient.
Well, yeah, transportation is definitely a big key. And being out west, I was curious, what the impact is for y'all right now. We see fuel prices starting to soften up a little bit. Yeah. So hopefully
it's definitely softened.
Definitely softened. Follow suit. Well, we'll let you get back to the action inside, to the education. We'll see you here in a little bit. And thanks for being with us.
Good to see you.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thanks, guys.
And finally, we spoke with Joe Watson of IFPA, who reflects on the purpose behind the retail conference and the growing energy behind this tight-knit gathering of industry leaders.
The very handsome young man standing next to me, Mr. Joe Watson with International Fresh Produce Association. Joe?
Hey, Ed.
A little bit of a sigh of relief, right?
A little bit. It was a great day, though. It certainly was. Great 2 days, actually. although, we had to call the golf tournament yesterday due to weather. It was still, there was a lot of energy yesterday afternoon, and people made the best of it, all things considered. They had a great turnout for the reception last night as well. Yeah.
Yeah. They probably found some activities to get into.
I believe they did. I believe they did. Yeah.
I'm surprised. I think it's been several years since I've been to this event, and I'm honestly a little surprised on how many people there were here and how energetic everything was. Super, super cool. Even this afternoon, as we were talking about here a minute ago off camera, that typically with folks need to travel, they might slip out early, but everybody was still here and engaged, and really a testament to not only the membership, but the staff and the content. So very, very cool to see.
No, it was. And last year's event, as successful as it was, the feedback we heard from the members or the attendees was that they wanted to have an opportunity to talk more to each other. And so we took that feedback and we built in the closing session we had today that went about 90 minutes actually. And the tables were able to partner up and talk about how to build strategies between the supply side and retail on the value proposition aside from price. And they came up with some amazing concepts that they all shared out as groups. We had 8 different groups that shared out, and I believe the feedback we got was just tremendous. And I think they really enjoyed that opportunity to just talk amongst themselves and have those interactions and so forth. So it was really, there was, again, a lot of energy, and it was really fun.
That's great.
Yeah.
The tabletop exhibits out in the foyer there, outside of the room. Did you mention that was this the first year for that?
No, we've had the tabletops each year of the retail conference. Okay. This is the 4th year of this conference, but it has grown. So we're almost doubled our tabletops from the first year of the event. And so we have typically exhibitors who would exhibit at our shows that want to have the opportunity to engage with the buyers at a tabletop type setup. And they have an opportunity during the networking breaks and the luncheons and so forth to do that.
I'll be honest with you, there was a lot more going on out there than I thought there was going to be. When you said in our pre-event interview that we did the other day remotely, I had an idea in my mind on what it would be like, but there was a lot of energy out there and a lot of folks interacting, and it was really cool to see. I think that's probably an opportunity for growth for sure.
It absolutely is, absolutely is. And so as we prepare for next year, we'll look for those opportunities. How can we meet that demand? Because the demand is there, and we want to make sure we create that opportunity, but also provide a good ROI for those who participate.
So speaking of next year, where is this event next year?
So we're going to be at the Sheraton Wild Horse Pass Resort in Phoenix, just south of town. It's a sprawling resort. There's a casino there nearby, but it's like an all-inclusive type spa type resort. So we are really looking forward to getting back out there. We were there last year and expand upon what we've already built upon, and just keep raising the bar on this event to make sure that the attendees, again, are getting good value and having great takeaways for their businesses.
Well, we're definitely going to plan to be there in Arizona.
Yeah.
I enjoy that dry heat.
Yeah.
Get out of the humidity of Texas a little bit during the beginning of the summer. Well, Joe, thanks again for having us. We had a great time. I think everybody here saw the value, and of course, anytime IFPA puts on an event, it's sort of a no-brainer. You get there if you can. I mean, we had folks from Canada we talked to that they clearly felt like it was important to be here, and rightfully so.
Well, and thank you for that, Ed. And yes, absolutely, we don't take it lightly. That bringing the audience in is it's work. It is work to do. But if we put on a good product, and people will want to come, and then once they're here, to have that opportunity just to get together and network, that's what they want more than anything. And providing those opportunities to do that, so when they leave, they can feel like, yes, it was meaningful and valuable for them.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I know it's not until next year, so I won't say goodbye, but wrapping up at the retail conference here in Frisco, Texas, on behalf of Joe Watson and myself, goodbye and thanks for being with us.
That wraps up our on-the-ground conversations from the IFPA Retail Conference. Big thanks again to Misionero, Bourne Farms, IFCO, and SunFed for supporting this episode and helping make our presence at the event possible. If you enjoyed these insights, make sure to follow the Fresh Cred for more real talk from the people moving produce forward. Until next time, stay fresh.